think we're right on time, Jeff. Why don't you launch?
Great. Thanks, Andrew. Victoria Gold's Eagle Gold Project is an open-pit, in-valley heap gold project currently under construction and will be the largest gold mine in Yukon history. The Eagle Gold Mine is located in central Yukon, which is recognized as a safe mining jurisdiction. The deposit lies within the Tintina Gold Belt and is located approximately 85 kilometers by road north-northeast from the village of Mayo, and about 400 kilometers north of the capital city of Whitehorse. The project is well supported by local infrastructure, including an existing 440-person camp, an all-weather access road, is near grid power, and an airstrip 40 kilometers to the south. The Eagle Gold Mine is financed through construction to production in 2019. Victoria secured a $398 million financing package with Orion Mine Finance, Osisko Gold Royalties, and Caterpillar Financial Services. The feasibility study and environmental assessment process are complete, and a comprehensive cooperation benefits agreement with the local First Nation of the Nacho Nyack Dun is in place. Construction of the mine will be complete in mid-2019. During operations, the mine will be a significant economic contributor to the Yukon, employing 350 to 400 people. The Eagle Gold Resource runs in an east-west direction over 1,050 meters and to a depth of 475 meters. The combined proven and probable reserve totals 2.7 million ounces of gold. The mineralization of the deposit is open along strike and at depth. The Eagle Gold Mine is a technically straightforward, low-cost open-pit mine with a 3-stage crush, in-valley heap, and gold recovery plant with a 10-plus-year mine life. Major earthworks in 2017 significantly de-risked the project for construction. The crusher facilities, heap leach facility, and the gold recovery plant, site roads, and power lines are well underway and on track to start producing gold in the second half of 2019. When complete, the open pit will be 1,300 meters long by 550 meters wide and a maximum depth of 475 meters. In the open pit, following blasting, rock not hosting gold will be hauled to the waste rock storage facility. Run-of-mine ore will be hauled to the primary heap facility. By taking advantage of trucking run-of-mine ore to the primary heap facility, the strip ratio at Eagle is 0.8 to 1. Higher grade gold-bearing ore is hauled to the primary crusher and then conveyed onward to the secondary and tertiary crushers. These photos show the construction progress of the primary and secondary tertiary crusher facilities. Once crushed to approximately 6.5 millimeters, the gold-bearing ore is conveyed to the primary heap facility that has a double-line pad installed to contain the gold-bearing solution. The primary heap facility will be constructed in 3 phases, starting from the lower portion of the valley and progressing upwards. The primary heap facility is comprised of a solution sump, piping, leak detection, and recovery and monitoring systems. Construction of the primary heap facility is well advanced, and liner installation is underway. When in operation, mobile stackers will stack the crushed ore in 10-meter lifts with solution emitters installed approximately 1 meter beneath the surface for frost protection. Gravity draws the solution downward as it releases and absorbs the gold. The pregnant or gold-bearing solution collects into wells and is pumped to the gold recovery plant. In the gold recovery plant, the gold is removed from the solution, smelted, and poured into doré bars. The solution, which no longer contains gold, is recycled and pumped back to the primary heap facility to repeat the process. Over the 10-year life of mine, the Eagle Mine will produce 1.7 million ounces of gold at an average of approximately 200,000 ounces per year. The project's economics are robust and will generate an after-tax net present value of approximately $508 million, with a capital payback period of 2.8 years. Mining will process 33,700 tons of ore per day, equating to 12.3 million tons per year, and 123 million tons over the life of the mine. Additionally, the mine benefits from a favorable strip ratio of 0.95 to 1. The 2016 feasibility study includes the addition of a satellite deposit, Olive, located approximately 2 kilometers from Eagle. In Year 7, crushed Eagle ore will be conveyed to the secondary heap facility near Olive. In Year 9, a smaller open pit at Olive will come into production, with all Olive ore to be processed on the secondary heap facility. With changing economics, there is potential to extend the mine life at Eagle for an additional 6 to 10 years. There is also potential to increase production with the expansion of the Olive Shamrock Zone. In addition to the Eagle deposit and the Olive Shamrock Zone, the large Dublin Gulch property hosts a number of high-quality exploration targets that lie along the Potato Hills Trend, a 13 by 3 kilometer known trend of significant mineralization. Victoria Gold also holds additional claim blocks nearby, including on the adjacent VBW property. Victoria Gold's strong and experienced board of directors and solid management team with mine-building know-how are focused on bringing the Eagle Gold Mine into production by H2 2019. Victoria Gold trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the symbol VIT.
I think we're timed perfectly. According to this clock, I have 1 minute and 20 seconds for questions.
Any questions from the audience? Well, I have a question, John. And you're building a new mine. I wonder if you could talk about some of the new innovative things that you are doing in building this mine. In particular, I'm kind of interested in how you're incorporating automation and how that's cost savings from other projects you've undertaken in your career.
Well, I probably shouldn't be saying this, but we're minimizing the new technology.
Okay.
Well, there's a couple reasons. Murphy is alive and well in the mining business, and he spends a lot of time north of 60. So we're going to be a single asset producer. I want to use technology I know works, not something new. There's an example of a mill in a northern mine that didn't work because they went with new technology. So for me, it's keep it simple, keep it stupid.
Okay, so let others break the pick, and then you'll learn.
We'll
from
see
that.
what we can learn from others, but we
Okay.
don't want to be the ones experimenting.
Okay, very good. Anybody else? Question? Well, that is perfectly timed. Thanks so much, John.
Thank you.
That we got was 90% from their work, and from our work it went from 86% recovery to 98, depending on whether you use flotation or a combination of flotation and CIL. The drill program is, as I said, 50,000 meters. We've got actually 3 drills on the property. We haven't drilled the glory holes yet. We've actually gone across all the zones. 3 rigs are turning, and we have not put out any information yet because we're trying to get more ground. We like what we see, but we've moved this from trying to move from 3 square kilometers to 30 square kilometers. Right there, and the help we're getting with that is from the government. The government is in this picture. The Minister of Mining has got the black hat in the middle, and the President of Comibol is on his left. They signed an MOU with us to get the rest of that ground to make this a whole situation, so we can have a district scale play. They are cooperating, and we are in the midst now, probably about a month away. Sorry, I would say 2 months away from actually wrapping up that ground and being able to put out results. The government of people say, why Bolivia? Well, look, why not? They're cooperating with us 100%. They actually did make some mistakes in the past. I've worked at the highest levels of government in Canada, in the Prime Minister's office, and I can tell you that these guys made a mistake early on by nationalizing some things. They had to give them back to the oil and gas group, and they are determined to bring foreign investment into this country, and it looks like they're using us as the poster child. So they've got one of the fastest growing economies in South America. They've changed their mining laws. They're working with us. We couldn't be happier, to be honest.
And importantly, a lot of drill testing on our projects, the potential for discovery and participation in value creation from our shareholders. So please, if you are not already a shareholder or are considering an interest, come to our website and look to receive our news flow to follow what we're developing. Just a quick look at Mirasol as a company. A very well-funded junior with approximately 25 million Canadian in the bank. A share structure that we have worked over many years to preserve and keep very tight. So after approximately 15 years on the market, we're looking at under 54 million shares issued at the moment. So an incredible achievement that we value for our shareholders. We guard that share structure because obviously the value that's created through discovery is going to flow through then to our shareholders on a per share basis. An aggressive project generator here. We apply leading edge technologies. We discover our own projects. We own all of our own projects. It gives us incredible flexibility to structure the deals that we've just walked through and had a look at. And importantly here, multiple joint ventures in place. Drill programs planned on a high-grade project that we own 100% of ourselves that we will be drill testing during the coming Southern Hemisphere season, and a large pipeline of projects to keep feeding that joint venture machine that's coming through. So thank you all very much. I've been successful to keep this down to 45 seconds for questions, so if there's one question. Excellent.
Anyway, thanks very much. All right, do we have any questions from the floor? Oh, yes, this is great. We have two. This is double the normal. Here we go, sir. We'll just wait for the microphone, and then we'll go from there.
Could you talk a little bit about drilling permits? Because I remember a few years ago, Finland took over 3 years to put out their drilling permits.
It's pretty simple. You apply for a reservation here, and that allows you to get on the ground and do work. But obviously, but it doesn't allow you to do drilling at that point in time. But as soon as you have an exploration license, and we have half of our ground is all exploration licenses, we can drill wherever we like. We don't have any Natura 2000 areas, so we're totally open to drill across basically our entire licensed area, and there's no restrictions on where we drill. And obviously in our mine site, we're completely unrestricted. You don't even have to pay any compensation to landowners for forestry. So it's relatively simple. Yeah. They have changed the mining code quite significantly in the last 5 years. So.
James, nice presentation. How you talk about maximizing returns per share and adding value. How do you and the management team get incentivized? How do you get rich running Rupert Resources?
I guess I have a reasonable shareholding myself in Rupert Resources, and obviously we have this option structure there, and I guess through that, through our own shareholdings, actually being shareholders alongside the other shareholders of the company, that's how we'll do it. We run it pretty lean. We have really low G&A. I guess we haven't set it up that we're burning money on anything other than exploration. I think we will possibly get rich by making the discoveries, and you'll know that through, that's ultimately how you're going to do it in this. We're not going to get rich just by running the company and for the next 10 years and putting along. We will do it by having our shareholdings and making discoveries through that.
Of the capital structure?
I guess if you look at the directors and the whole lot, maybe, I guess, 3%, something like that, 3 or 4%. So, yeah, not enough. I came to the party quite late, Simon. There you go.
More than 1 million ounces. And then also the economic threshold's probably there too, especially with the amount of high-grade pit-constrained ounces we have. So we're kind of in a little bit of a dilemma here. Do we keep going up the driveway there to the Claza camp up on the hill where the resource is and focus in on those resources? Is that the best way to move this project forward? Or do we take the side roads and keep exploring the system? And I'll show you the maps on why we're thinking about doing that, or at least considering it. So here's a look at the arsenic and soil geochem response. You can see it's labeled there the Claza resource area. To the north of that, that was that hole 403 that I mentioned earlier, and that cut 5 new veins, 3 of which are in a kind of a broader intercept of 10 meters with 1.16 grams gold. But we also had a couple other hits down below in that hole. So it'd be interesting to see how big those are and what kind of significance they have to the overall story. The other 2 targets that we're excited about is the Val target. It's only about 1.5 kilometers north of the old Mount Hanson mine. It's right above one of the best placer creeks in the district. And that's got really strong both gold and arsenic soil geochemistry. Never been drilled. Same with the Rusk target. So the Rusk is a pretty new one here for us. So we acquired that ground 2 years ago, and we did 2 years worth of soil sampling. And those results, it's one of the biggest arsenic and soil geochem responses we've seen in the entire Yukon. So we're really excited about that target. If I go to the next slide, in the distance there, so you can see the Claza property mineral resource, it's about 3.5, 4 kilometers away from where this soil sampler is standing. If we bring up that geochem response, that's where it sits. So it's kind of further down in the valley. Again, no work has been done to test that. So that's going to be something that we're going to be doing in hopefully next year.
Just an idea of our boots on the ground. We've taken a completely different approach here. I'm running out of time, so I'm just going to try and speed this up a little bit because I want to talk about one other key project, because everyone's been asking us why we're doing this. So we announced recently a joint venture with a company called Bell Copper. Bell Copper is run by a gentleman, Tim Marsh, who's very well known, ex-Rio Tinto guy, has been working on this theory for this project that we're now calling Perseverance, and it's a testament to Tim Marsh having worked on this since 2005 to try and figure out what's going on here. We're working on a theory that there is a very large copper porphyry in Arizona. There's 19 holes in this area where we're seeing chalcopyrite, you're seeing some bornite, but this copper shell has not been drilled. And what we think has happened is Rio Tinto drilled the pyrite shell, and there's been no holes where we are theorizing that there is a copper shell. And we want to put one hole there. This is your typical high risk, super high reward. If this theory holds true, this would be a monster. So that's why, from our perspective, the investment we're making here is well worth it, because you would have a monster. And the reason why we know it would be a monster if the theory is correct is because the outcrop, which is the footwall, has been exposed 9 kilometers to the west. And it's taken Tim 12 years to figure out where this fault that occurred. And people were drilling this area in the 1960s, have never been able to figure out where this porphyry is. And it's taken Tim 12, 13 years to trace it to this area. So this hole, which we're coring today, we started drilling, will tell us whether this theory is correct. If it's correct, then I think we might have something pretty special on our hands. There's a couple images, and at the bottom of the hole, when they were getting prepared at 300-meter depth, and they ran out of money about copper, and part of the reason is because when Rio Tinto left the JV, of course it damaged the project, but at the bottom of the hole, they are seeing some gold and some copper. So we think that could be from fresh rock. There's a chance it could be from the granites up above, or from the sediments up above, but we actually think this is from the bottom of the hole. So pay attention to this one, because we think we have something pretty special there as well.
We have 2 key projects, Sao Jorge to the southwest of Par State, and Cachoeira in close proximity to Belém. Key consideration of not only these projects, but all of our projects in the portfolio has been proximity to infrastructure. What I mean by that is there are 6 hydro dams within Par State providing electricity throughout the region. We have roads. Here's not only a resource table, but you can see a picture of a road that actually goes right by our project at Sao Jorge, and water.
So key consideration of any acquisition has always been key infrastructure already in place. Meaning, once a project's taken through the development stage and into production, we or a joint venture partner don't want to be in the business of constructing roads, power lines, or water infrastructure. Sao Jorge project has 1.7 million ounces, indicated grade 1.5 grams per ton, 700,000 ounces. Very amenable to open pit mining. An aerial view, as you can see here's the strike of the Sao Jorge deposit, core storage, surface rights not being a problem, and nice topography that would be conducive for a full mining camp. Project was delineated of over 145 drill holes. Initial metallurgical work shows approximately 93% recoveries, but also importantly, 80% of our land holding has been unexplored. Here you can see the approximately 1.5 kilometers of strike length of the deposit itself, and shallow depth with open pit characteristics. Also point out that to the southeast there's a resistivity anomaly, so we do believe, and while we've not drilled it, there would be excellent exploration potential to the southeast of the main deposit for a future extension. Our larger projects are in Colombia. So, Colombia has stabilized over the past few years. Western mining investment has come in, predominantly with Newmont, IAMGOLD. Just this past month, Newmont made an additional investment in Orosur with the Anza project. And we were able to acquire both the Titiribi and Lamina projects over the past couple of years, fully believing that if you want a large-scale project, you have to go to a region that's been underexplored or has been problematic in the past. In the north, our most recent acquisition was the Yellowknife project in Northwest Territory in Canada, then going down a much larger project in Colombia, and the genesis of our company would be in Brazil. I'll elaborate on that a little bit more. The strategy of the company has been to acquire gold ounces at a fraction of the cost of discovery. The cost of discovery approximately is about $45 an ounce. We've been able to acquire our ounces for less than $4 an ounce. As you can see, exploration expenditures are very variable, but the number of discoveries over the past few years has clearly come down.
Very large-scale gold discoveries, including the Salares Norte high sulfidation project that you can see in the center of the belt there, close to our Zeus joint venture with Newcrest. In the Oligocene belt, large-scale porphyry targets. This is Chile's giant porphyry belt, the Chuquicamata Escondida belt. We have projects that are in or adjacent to those large copper districts. And in the Paleocene belt, low and intermediate sulfidation epithermal systems, and our recent LOI that's been announced with Hochschild in the last few weeks, where we'll be exploring an intermediate sulfidation system, and in fact we're currently working on the ground there. So a diversified portfolio here in Chile that has both major district scale plays that are under joint venture and a range of pipeline projects, but also lower altitude year-round access projects that are in premier mineral belts. A quick look at our joint ventures here, so we can see the two Newcrest joint ventures, brand new joint ventures. Last year, Newcrest invested $1.5 million in the surface work to prepare Altazor for drilling, and about $750,000 in Zeus. We're working through the budgeting process with Newcrest here, but certainly planning an aggressive season this year in Altazor. Our LOI with Hochschild in the final stages here, but we've already initiated surface work on the project there. So this was announced approximately 4 weeks ago, and we're already exploring on the ground there. So again, trying to be really aggressive here. Very favourable deal structures in all cases here, typical of Mirasol, where we have large upfront spends, cash payments to the company.
100%. You know, kind of the majority of the gold obviously comes from the Conrad. It comes right to surface That's where about 800,000 ounces of that million open pit comes from. You can kind of see with the amount of drilling, the majority has been done here. But Osiris and Ibis and Sunrise, they're completely open. They've hardly received any drilling. So that's going to be the focus of all our drilling going forward, is to build ounces. We're not going to work on infilling. We have lots of room to grow these things, get up to the 2 or 3, maybe potentially 4 as much as possible. The thing is that they're open. One of the key things here is Osiris and Sunrise and Ibis. Unlike Conrad, all of these ones, they've only been drilled down to 100-200 meters, so there's a ton of room. They're vertically dipping, so lots of room to build ounces there. By way of example, this is on the eastern end of the Conrad, just to kind of demonstrate what we wanted to do. We wanted to go in there and build on ounces. I mean, we found, what do we have here? 1.5 grams over 64, almost 3 over 52, and these are near surface, within and adjacent to the resource pit. So there's a lot of real estate to build these out. And then down here, right out in here where there's no resource, I mean, there's some spectacular grades of almost 10 grams over, what do we got, almost, or 23 meters. So lots of room to build ounces. I've only got this up because I'm going to take you to the Sunrise Zone right up here. That'll be our next slide. When we look in at the Sunrise, this is the Osiris, and it wraps around. It's an antiform. One of the key things last year, we hit 15 meters at 13 grams. We undercut that this year, 26 meters of almost 13 grams. You can kind of see it here in section. Again, just like all the other deposits there, these are open to depth. I have to acknowledge we did a couple holes on the eastern end of Sunrise. We didn't get that mineralization there. The rock wasn't prepped, so it wasn't a great host there. But we have about 300 meters along here, and at depth all through here and along Osiris. So look for some more results from Osiris and Sunrise, as well as another hole from Conrad coming out this year. And that's what it looks like. It's beautiful rock. It's fun to drill. So this is the western end of the project. Again, it's 185 kilometers long, so it's a big project. This is what got us into the area in 2007, 2008. We found the Tiger Gold deposit. That's right in here. Again, this is kind of showing you where we are. We were just kind of talked about this little area here. This is the raw trend. You've got the Tiger deposit. We have numerous other targets in the area. And we have a silver, lead, zinc discovery that we just...
It was done on the basis of 1.9 million ounces. There's an additional million ounces in there that we will model into the resource by the time we get to feasibility. It's just we were looking at only the bulk mineable aspects, given that the resource that we had to work with has about a 6.7 gram average grade. But still a very healthy result, and a mine that will produce nearly 250,000 ounces in its first year strictly from the Windfall deposit, and 218,000 ounces over an 8-year mine life. Including that other million ounces would give it a mine life of about 14 to 15 years. We control the bulk of the Urban Barry camp. We've got about 60 or 70% of what we consider the most prospective ground out there. We have a deal in progress with Bowfield, which will add to that. We currently have about 3,300 square kilometers. That'll go up to about 3,600 square kilometers by the time this deal closes. And really what we think we're doing here is we're developing a district much akin to what would have been the Timmins camp or the Rouyn Val d'Or camp. We see the future potential to find additional deposits like Windfall as being very, very strong. Back at the beginning, when we started our work in late 2015, we did a bit of science. We age dated a lot of the porphyries. We found the ones that contain gold all date to a similar 30 million year age range. They're all about 2.69 to 2.72 billion years old, which is the exact same age as the Timmins intrusives that were some of the most prolific gold deposits and producers in the Timmins camp. People have been looking for years for analogies to that, and we think we found one. The interesting part is they're located all along that, what we call the bank fault.
The deepest hole we've drilled was 1 kilometer in depth and was still in mineralization and alteration. This is an orogenic deposit. We're probably at the top of it. It could go down another kilometer or more, but we're not. We're again, our focus is on the open pit material.
So there's no reason why we shouldn't find a significant number of additional deposits on top of Windfall. Windfall was not a singularity. We've covered about half of our property mass so far in terms of overall exploration. We've got about 130 targets, about a dozen of which we've drilled. In drilling those targets, we've come up with the discovery of the Fox deposit, the what we call Black Dog. Lynx was basically a product of that as well, an interpretation of the main deposit. So we have a long way to go to just go through the bank of targets that we have right now. We would expect to see another similar, probably 100 targets or so come out of the Quivillon block that we're just doing the exploration on now. When we started, there was an initial resource from Eagle Hill. It was based
Arctic Circle up there. The Gulf Stream comes through all year round working. Only the melt during May is essentially the only time you can't work. You create the superhighways during winter, and during summer you can do a few other things. So a good place to be working. Mining centre there, 400 plus years of mining, and a lot of the majors and very active juniors have moved in. Like I said, I've had a long history up there, and it was a much harder sell to talk about Finland 10 years ago. Now everyone seems to understand the opportunity. So looking at our project in detail, that Rompus area was where the Nuggety best drill hole in Finland was made, a 6-kilometre trend. That's still sitting there. We haven't worked there since 2013. We went across and focused at Raya Pilot, and that's where the discovery is developing on that eastern side there. And we'll focus in on that now. 90% of our drilling has just gone in the last 2 years. So, a bit busy perhaps for the back of the room there. We've got this area, 3 kilometres by 4 kilometre area. We call it Raya Pilot. It's got a lot of different prospect areas there from the north that we call Pelocus, and it basically forms a big L shape, if you like, right down to where you can see the word Raya. The host horizon, it's a lot more complex than this. This is a simplified version. We've got 65 kilometres across the property of this host horizon. The mineralisation is strata-bound. It's a strata-bound, structurally controlled deposit. These things form small footprints. We can find them geophysically. A remnant magnetic field is retained in the pyrrhotite that's intimately associated with the gold, so we do a lot of detailed ground mag to find those reverse magnetic anomalies. We've got IP that works very well in terms of conductivity or the low resistivity that gives. And then EM is proving a boon also for us. We've done VTEM surveys across there that actually have only really just been associated with the mineralisation as we've been drilling it out. We understand how closely related the EM is. So we've gone and doing a lot more ground EM, fixed loop time domain, and that's really helping define these targets even further. So I'll move and talk about Raya, where we've done most of our work over the last year and defined this system.
Basically stock work, veinlets. They were very high grade, but you couldn't put them together. We did look at maybe potentially pitting them. They would have had a high strip, but we removed them from our resource. And then very quickly, after about 3 months of drilling, we realized that what we were dealing with here was a fully preserved, or what we interpreted at the time as a fully preserved intrusive system. There aren't a lot of analogies to it in the Abitibi or the Archean. We kind of scratched our heads for the first year and a half, trying to come up with something that we could compare it to. And as we sit right now, and as we've done this 600 and almost 50,000 meters of drilling to date, what we've been doing is we've been creating outcrops. So it's allowed us to interpret further and apply the exploration model to that intrusive model that we have. And we've been very successful in finding, the link zone, extensions of links. We have a links 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We think we'll find lots more as we drill down the bank fault. We've extended the underdog corridor. We've shown that the whole deposit is plunging to the northeast. And on the basis of that model, in May, after we put out our resource, we collared 2 deep holes, what we call the deep underdog and the deep links hole, both intended to go down to below 2 kilometers depth. And we had success on both of those holes. You see there, the 888 discovery was 28 meters of over 20 grams. And it was a homogeneous 20 grams. It wasn't one result that was spread over the 28. It was about 20 grams all the way through. The follow-up hole was 700 meters away to the northeast, the deep underdog or deep lynx hole. We call it the TDB discovery, not because that's to be determined. That hole was colored a little after the first hole, and after we discovered 888, we thought, okay, when we get to that horizon, we may see it again. And exactly where we anticipated seeing it, we did. We got 3.5 meters of about 20-25 grams. But it's 700 meters away, so we're a bit hesitant to call it an extension of 888 until we get some more holes in there. But it very well may be an extension of 888.
Our costs are reasonably good. Our after-tax NPV it's okay, but I think we can do a lot better. Our payback is reasonable. After-tax IRR is 25%. I think we can do better on that. And we are advanced. We're right on track with our timeline. So as far as the project goes, certainly the resource is the base for all of it. We've got 20,000 meters to add to the new resource, and we'll probably do that sometime this year once we're finished drilling in the fall. We're in a top mining jurisdiction in Canada. We own this 100%. There's no royalty on the property. We bought that last year, and we have high recoveries. So I think we're in pretty good shape.
The Romanian government published a timeline on our permitting process in March. They haven't quite stuck to it, but we've got 4 of the 5 signatures. Can't tell when governments will actually get across the line on certain things, but we suspect that in a very short period of time we'll have the last signature, and that will complete the ratification of the mining license. And as you can see who it's touched the Minister of Economy, Finance, Environment, Waters and Forests, even the Prime Minister and Justice. Everybody will be aware of the project. Everybody's signing off, and it just speaks to the, I guess, renewed transparency by the government of Romania by publishing on their website. I've never seen that done before. We were surprised by it. Stock went up quite a bit when they published that, but we're almost there. I think we'll be close to, in the next short little while, get this across the line and move forward on completing the feasibility study.
Flat is the new up, so we're pretty happy with our share price right now. Our share structure is pretty standard on this. About 79 million shares outstanding, about 87 million fully diluted on this. Pretty solid. Right now to be could be a pretty fortuitous situation. We won't go through this, but it's in the handout and presentation. This is a history of what happened to us with Antares. Basically, we set out on that pattern. We had the global financial crisis in the middle of it, which was an interesting bump in the road, but we managed to be cashed up as we went into that. We learned a lot of lessons in this process. We basically, over 5 years, took a project from initial stages with only a small resource on it, drilled it out to be about a 1 billion ton copper deposit, and successfully sold that to First Quantum. This is just the share price we have now for Regulus. Very similar pattern in many ways. When we merged with Southern Legacy Peru to acquire the Antiquary project, there was almost no market reaction on this. When we announced that we had agreements that we could begin working on the project, which everybody felt was almost impossible to do, that woke the market up. Since then, we've initiated the drilling, and we put out some pretty spectacular results. Like many of us, we believe those results warranted a better market reaction than they have, but I think in our sector right now, flat is the new up. So we're pretty happy with our share price right now.
Yeah, good morning. I should say it's had a good day for everybody. Thanks for coming. And actually, it was very interesting listening to both Stephen Dean and Phil Wolfer talk before. Definitely a lot of good projects and a lot of opportunities in our industry, and the discipline in the industry about, you see, as Stephen talked, that we can, we run financially strong companies. We can actually be equal or better than any other company out in the market, and that's what we ought to do, and that's part of the philosophy within Kirkland Lake Gold. And we've had a lot of success, and I get a sense. I tell people, in terms of the success that's happened at Kirkland Lake over the last year and a half, 2 years, we've been a lot, and you can, but there's the future is still to come. And this slide is showing a little bit about the future here. This is a slide of first phase coming into the Swan Zone. This was the first area that was actually first stoped. Grades over 61 grams per ton.